Well, my solution is bring
They
back
need
the
to bring
rapid
back
response
the hand.
and
No,
the
see, if
rangers.
that was
So
a
I just came home last
little
Monday and had so much things happening. I work on a cruise ship. I'm just on vacation.
Not everyone that's in the prison that is guilty, but we have a university center criminal.
If you've ever driven along the dual carriageway at Vidbute, what we commonly refer to as the four-lane, the scariest thing for you as a driver is a pedestrian dashing across, jumping onto the median and weaving through the vehicles in the opposite lane to get to the other side. You stop being scared and just get plain ticked off, boiling with rage when this happens 4 meters away from the pedestrian crossover. Hi, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez and welcome to another episode of Solutions. Answers from the people, simple solutions offered by Solutions. Jaywalking. No, it's not the latest internet meme, light planking or Harlem Shake. It's an irresponsible practice which is dangerous to say the least. Jaywalking is the reckless or illegal crossing of a roadway by a pedestrian. We asked the people, what is your solution to the problem of jaywalking on St. Lucian roadways? Let's hit the streets and hear what the people had to say.
And if they make a walkway for them, right? They have to use the walkway. Don't cross the road, and they have to be careful on the road because those kind of drivers we have essential driving on that highway there. We have to be careful with ourselves. But what I say, if they can give them a charge for that, give them a charge for that. Because if they make a walkway for them to, right? They have to use it.
Okay, well, I do believe that charges should be put in place for jaywalkers. They should be using the walkovers. So definitely charges should be put in place because it's dangerous for the drivers as well as the pedestrians.
Yeah, I think we should re-educate the people and use education to show them the dangers of not using the pedestrian crossing and the benefits or the security of using it, because that's what is there for your protection. So I think education, educate them.
I believe they should, probably put some charges in place for any of the offenders who commit this delinquent activity. And also they should have probably some guys monitoring them so that they won't escape. They will be charged when caught in the act of doing this.
So dangerous crossing that, and if they did the walkway for them, what they have to do is to use it, because if like an accident do happen to them, to me the drivers should not be penalized or anything because they have the walkway. So I find they should penalize for doing such.
They should charge them.
I think they should charge them because they're not respecting the law, and then they put in their own life at risk by doing that.
If something happens, is the driver they're going to blame, and it's the child or the adult that crossing where they're not supposed to be crossing. You use the pedestrian crossing or you pass over the walkover and take your time. You can't be late twice. That's all I have to say.
Because that's what it's there for, so you have to use it.
Anyway, the only way I can see, if a police see them doing that, all I have to do, arrest them. Yeah, that's my solution. So that means they're paying attention, because they know they have a walkway, and they're using the brains to go up. So as you say, when the vehicle thing they're running, that's bad. Some people are doing that. All they have to do just arrest them,
Because if government put in pedestrian crossing and crossover for us, and we ourselves are still doing it, well, we can put the driver and ourselves at risk. It can also cause fatal accident. What's my solution? Well, that has to be stopped and charge them or something like that, because they're not supposed to be doing that. Because government put in pedestrian crossing for us and crossover. Why should we jump over it and do all those kind of things? We're putting ourselves at risk. We can die by doing that.
Well, they should have a police to arrest them. Yeah, because they have the law for them, because they know they have to cross the pedestrian, so they have to wait. And when they turn, they have to cross. So if they don't want to wait, they arrest them, because it's trouble they're looking for.
Well, for the people who don't use the walkovers and the pedestrian crossing properly, I think there should have strict laws in place. Because there are laws for the drivers, there should be strict laws for the pedestrians. So if these laws are put in place, we will see some changes.
I don't know what you have to do to them, but they should consider, about they have to walk on the pedestrian crossing and the rules. They should follow the rules. You understand?
My solution is like they're taking the law for granted, and then you cannot go above the law. And the people that are doing them sort of things, it's like they have no sort of brain. You see, people have different heart, because I know they got people who scared of it, like especially height. You understand? Now, I don't know what to say about that.
Well, that is not good at all. Well, the solution is they have to make some a way work for them to work.
I seen some young fellas just jumping across the road, and they have so much traffic there that can cause different accidents. A vehicle can knock them. So that ain't making no sense for them to, because they put the step. How they saying that again? The crossover for us to jump over, walk through the step and take the other side. But in St. Lucia, I see no sense they do need it, because if a vehicle knock them in St. Lucia, everybody go say about the government and that and that. You know, well, for me, that ain't making no sense. Just take it. The situation says for me, yeah, looking good, too nice. Maybe they have to use the step. Don't cross the highway, because vehicle always say up and down, up and down.
Well, my solution is if they find you not using the pedestrian crossing, they should charge you, because they make the pathways for you to walk on it.
Tear like a piece of the wall, so you can have a pedestrian crossing, you know, instead of the wall thing, separating the roads, just certain places.
Well, you know what I think? They'll get knocked down. If they don't, precaution better than cure. So if they say let's use the walkovers instead of looking for useless accidents, you know, I can't help them. Huh? It's not me. They didn't know what's right, you know.
In other words, I'm a driver myself, and on how many occasions when the light is green, even the school children, they just walk past through. Especially when you go to Jeremy Street by the taxi stand. It has been happening over and over again. I think the jaywalk in St. Lucia is really, really ridiculous. The same way you could give a driver a ticket for going over the red light is the same way you could give a jaywalk a ticket for crossing in the green.
Government's supposed to take it seriously, because Lucian doesn't listen to the law of St. Lucia. I mean, this thing is a risk of your life. You have to take it seriously. Definitely, they have to take it seriously. That's it. My solution with it, we have to follow the instruction, what the government do the Passover for us, use it, it make more sense for us, and then we'll save life in St. Lucia.
I really don't have an answer for that, because people are so hard-headed. I'm always saying, why do people have to pay money for their own safety? If it is for your safety, you have no right to ignore it until you have to be charged by the police because of you being safe, your very own safety. So I really cannot tell you what could be done about that, because everything you try to do, people bypass it. Everything you try to do, people, they find a way to go to cross it or to go over it, but they bypass everything that you're going to try and do. So what I can suggest, probably a little bit of warning here and there, if people continually hearing about their own safety, how important it is for one to be safe, to take care of themselves, how important it is to listen to laws and obey warnings. Probably 1 or 2 persons might take warning. I can't even say they will, but 1 or 2 might take warning. But I am always saying, police have no right to charge me for my safety. I am supposed to do what I have to do, so police have no reason to charge me for my safety, because it's my safety. Why does they have to be charging me for it? So I have to be careful enough to know that this is my safety, and police will not have to charge me for it. So if everybody can just at least listen, take care, be careful, do what is asked of you, what is required, what you're supposed to do, at least you'll be a little safer. You'll die about 2 days. 2 days. You will live a little 2 days longer than if you ignore every sign and every warning and everything.
These were just some of the solutions from the people. We'll take a break now. When we come back, more solutions. Welcome back to Solutions. We asked the people for their solution to the problem of jaywalking along the streets and highways of St. Lucia.
It's they that cause it to happen. Because the thing there to cross, if they don't have, and you do it and something knock you, they could say something else. But if the thing there, you cannot tell me you not cross it, and if something happens, sometimes the people will be responsible. That's all I could say.
Why people do not use pedestrian crossing and the crossover is poor education in. And I believe that person should, the authorities should try to educate people a little more as to how to go about doing this. Because persons believe they have the right of way to cross. As soon as they see a pedestrian crossing, they want to cross. And that shouldn't be. They have to get the go ahead from the driver itself and things like that. Thank you.
Well, I think like they should have somebody like to, for example, to tell them that they should not do that. They should use the crossover. That's not a good thing to do because somebody might get injured. Sometimes somebody can get killed. I think one of my schoolmates got injured in one of these stuff, so I don't think that's good for them to do.
Well, at least if they set an example, first thing, let some people pay for it at the very first time. Maybe others will take heed from that, and be more careful when they cross in the road. Because sometimes they just cross, and I am a driver too. Sometimes I can see what it is. Sometimes you're very busy, you're driving down the road, and they will not even look up and down, and they will just cross the road. And at the end of the day, a mishap can happen, and sometimes you even have to pay the penalty for that. So I find, at least if there are police, I will not say each and everywhere, but at least if there are few around, maybe they will know it is a bad thing, they will not continue to do it. Or that too, the police saw them, give them a warning the first time, or charge them a little penalty that they can know to set examples for the children that's growing up. Because sometimes even you see the children trying to do it too. School hours, rush hour, they will not use the walkway. They will just cross as they see the older ones doing it.
Well, basically, how I see it, the pedestrian crossing is there to be used. And as a matter of fact, they should make it law that people use the pedestrian crossing. Well, again, they should use the walkway. In this kind of day and today, because of the traffic, they should be using the walkway.
Give them a check because they have put something for them to walk over. I myself, that's why I'm passing. I don't like the height, but I have to do it.
That was our first set of solutions. Let's go to our next question. Is the digital age? The future is here, some say. Communication is at the tip of your fingers. Everyone has a cell phone, including children who are at school. But is it really that important for a child to have a cell phone? We asked the people, what is your solution to controlling the use of cell phones during school hours? Let's go to the streets.
When they leave the house in the morning, make sure you take the cell phone from them. That is all I say about it.
Because that's the time they call in all their friends, they do the bad things that they wanted to do. So I don't think it's a very good thing at all. If the parents could buy the cell phone for them, obviously they will use it and go to school. But if the parents don't buy it for them, take it away from them, so it would not be there.
The parents giving them the thing at age 7, so, and they know it better than me, so I don't know. I don't think you can control it. Well, take it from them, they might do something that you won't want them to do, so. Well, I believe that there should be restrictions in the school, my daughter goes to school and she left her phone with the administration. No cell in the classroom. So after school, they go and collect it.
In my point of view, it's not right for the kids to have the cell phone in the school because they get interrupted and they receive the calls. So any kind of distraction for the kids is not good.
Honestly, I believe that it should be controlled because you can never tell when there's an emergency, when a parent needs to contact a child. So even in those cases, yes, they can have it. But during class and, during school hours, no, it should be put away. They should have it probably in their bags or off, you know, something like that, on silence. But to come to school and during class or during the day they have it out, and no, school is not for that.
First of all, you should never have given to them because it is a distractor. I had my son in school when cell phone just came in, and I told him that I will give him a cell phone at 18 years because as a former teacher, I know it's a distractor. And people, the argument is that I need to get in contact with my kids and all of that, right? But then before we had cell phones, we made a contact with the school, whatever it is. So it's just that we just want to be modernized, we want to be in it, you know, but it's a big distractor. Don't give it to them. That's a simple solution.
Well, it gained them bad memory in the school, bad condition, and do not do not appreciate what they doing at school, and then whatsoever which is not good, that is what they're doing. So I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, because I have students going to school and I don't give them that at all, because by having a cell phone, they could think of whatever wrong, you know, in the future.
I believe having cell phones in the school is a distraction due to children texting during classes. They don't really pay attention to the teachers. They do all kind of stuff. They send photos which are explicit to one another, doing stuff they engage in stuff they're not supposed to engage in. So I believe having cell phones in the class is a distraction. So cell phones should not be allowed in school.
I think this is a distraction while the teacher is teaching, and then the person is using the cell phone as a distraction. So it distracts the student, it distracts the class and the teacher. As to control that, have a ban on the use of cell phones during classes, that no cell phone should be used during the hours of classes, and anyone that is using it then would have to use strict measures against that, or whatever it is, to either seize it or something like that. But during classes there should be that strict principle of not using your cell phone because it's a distraction.
The kids should be allowed to have their cell phones at school. However, it needs to be monitored, it needs to be managed, because my daughter has a cell phone. She goes to the Entrigo Secondary School. However, during classes, they should be turned off and maybe turned on during break and after school, because sometimes you need to communicate with them, and they should be allowed to have it, but once it doesn't interrupt the school process and it doesn't become a hindrance to the learning process. But I think they should be allowed to have it.
More solutions coming up after this break. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Solutions on Choice TV. We asked the people for a solution to controlling the use of cell phones during school hours. Let's hear what the people had to say.
By offering it, not using it in school.
Well, I think that when the students get to the school, they should either give it to their teachers or their principal, because sometimes in case of an emergency, the kids need to reach their parents or the parents need to reach the kids. I think that they should have their cell phones for that purpose. And then during school hours, they just have their teachers keep it, so in case the parents call, the parents know that the teachers has it, so that they could call the school directly.
They should not allow to have cell phone at school, because I think it will be disturb them. You know, they're doing their work and the phone ringing. The solution is ban it.
Yes, I think they should. Well, it depends on, I think the older children should have cell phones if in case of emergency, or they know in a way, because they could call the schools and tell the principal that whatever happens, they could let the children know, so the parents could. They should have like a special room with a security, and if the call comes in, the security answers the call, and if it's important, if it's in an emergency, they could let the student know.
There's plenty of time for them to use their cell phone once school's finished in their own time. But when I went to school, we never had cell phones, and it didn't affect me, so I don't see why it should affect anybody now.
No, sometimes it's disadvantage and it could be a distraction at the same time. Sometimes it could be emergency. A child must have a cell phone to go home.
But sometimes it's total distraction. But sometimes they want to be their friend, they'll be chatting. It's a schoolwork. It has the disadvantage and disadvantage.
Well, they should have, because if a child in trouble and he or she not in school, then they can call somebody to help them. Well, the teachers and principals should enforce their rules.
Do I think cell phones allowed in school? I would say yes or no. Because my daughter have a 7-year-old, and I give her phone because when I want to get in touch with her. So, but I tell her to put it off or put it on silent so it does not disturb the class. But some children do it, they be in class, they do all what they have to do in the class. And it's distracting the other children. So I would say yes or no, and no sometimes, yes. Or put the phone on silence, or leave it off, and during break time or lunch time, you will check your phone to see if your mother called you something. But they don't know what they're doing. These children, it's high time to take the cell phone from the secondary school children and take it from them.
Their schoolwork, so when you have a cell phone in school, you're not focused on your schoolwork. Taking the phone from them, keeping it away from them, their mother or father.
Students like breaking rules, all right? And a cell phone is something you can basically hide anywhere, put in your pants or, so I guess you can't. There's no solution. I don't think there is a solution. Children will do as they please, and they like breaking rules, so that's just how it is.
With telephone, children can do a lot of things while in class doing their studies. They can be texting them the answer to questions to each other by their cell phone. That's not a good thing for children to be going to school with cellular phones. If they can go to school with it, but they need to give it to the teachers take control of it, and after school give it back to them. I think that's the only solution I see. That's the only thing I see they can do with it. But apart from that, I don't see no other way they can control it.
That is a good thing to give children with cell phones, because they have a lot of cell phone cause a lot of problems. Sometimes they can be having some kind of plans, different things, and cell phones can get us in a lot of problems, especially the young girls. To me, what I can say, if they can prevent cell phones at school, it would be a good thing.
Well, there's a time and a place for everything, right? So I think that a classroom is not appropriate for a cell phone, because we survived without cell phones growing up and so on. So I think that all cell phones should be turned off, and as soon as school is done, they could turn it back on and so on. But during school hours, I don't think it is allowed.
Cell phone is not good for children to go to school, because that prevented the children from working. Let them leave their cell phone at home.
I think they should, but through school hours, I don't think they should be using it. I mean, I think they should be using the cell phones after school, because while on school property, it would be a distraction. But then they need it, because in case their parents need to get them in case of an emergency, the cell phones would come in very handy. But during school hours, put it in your bags, or maybe give it to the teacher when you're leaving school, then you get it. That's what I think.
Well, I believe that they should check their cell phones before they enter the school premises, because most students come to school with their cell phones on, and when the phones get confiscated, they got a big problem with the principal or the teacher concerning that.
Well, I agree for them to have it, because they can keep in touch with their parents, having cell phone in school. But not for all of them, though. Just for some.
I think it depends. Cell phones can be handy for the students, especially in time of emergency, but also it can lead to bad stuff. Also, they could use the phones to meet friends and so on, and go liming or whatever. Well, I don't think there's any solution. No one could really stop the students from actually coming to school with their cell phones, because most students nowadays don't have the parenting that we ourselves did before, so they can't really control it. Maybe to a certain extent, but not for all students.
Well, my solution is if they find you not using the pedestrian crossing, they should charge you, because they make the pathways for you to work on it.
Yes, miss. I think they should be allowed to use their cell phone in school, but only during break and lunchtime, Well, during school hours, when they're learning and stuff, they shouldn't be allowed to use cell phones in school.
It's a matter of yes and a no. Now, the first question, I doubt all the school children have a locker where they could put their cell phones. It is a very essential thing, because sometimes they go to school and they need contact with their parents. But again, I think it's all left to the teacher in order to go to the student and then to make sure that the cell phones are in proper use.
I could start? My opinion, I think we should not have laws in place, because it's, how would I say it? put people's life at risk. In terms of somebody just crosses in front of a vehicle, no matter what the vehicle is, and the lights are green, and you might end up knocking them, and that's going to pose as a problem. And people have a tendency to feel like the motorist is always at fault, whereas the pedestrian isn't right. In the bigger countries, people observe the signs and they definitely do not cross on a red or yellow light. So I think that the law should be enacted where they could, the same way they could at least have laws to deal with the motorists, they could have laws to deal with the pedestrians.
I think it depends on the level in terms of the cell phones. For example, in primary school, absolutely not, because the kids become obsessed with it. They've not been taught how to control the use of the cell phone. In secondary school, neither, because we're not, as a teacher, one of the things that we're trying to do right now, I'm a teacher at A level, is to show the students that the cell phone can be used for lots of things that are not just social media. For example, in Spanish, as I'm a Spanish teacher, we have the students are able to use a dictionary that comes online. They can use Google in the classroom to get information pertaining to whatever topic that we're discussing. So if we teach the students how to use the cell phones appropriately at that level, tertiary education, then I think it should be allowed in the classroom. Primary and secondary, absolutely not. And the way we prevent it is by not giving them the cell phone. End of story.
The people have spoken. Most St. Lucian pedestrians believe that they have indefinite rights to the roadway over vehicular traffic. You hear them say all the time, "Knock me up," believing that they are always right. Newsflash, that is not the case. On the dual carriageway, pedestrian traffic is not allowed. If you get run over by a vehicle there, you're wrong. And learn to use the pedestrian crossing properly. It is the designated safe place for pedestrians to cross, but the driver must yield to the right of way to you. That means you stand, wait, let the driver see you and let you cross. Don't just jump over onto the street as if the car will go to the hospital, not you. Many argue that it is necessary for a child to have a phone so his or her parent can have access to them at all times. Well, the many people who went to school before the invention of the cell phone are doing just fine now. When a child goes to school, the principal and teachers have proxy as parents. They are responsible for that child. If you as a parent want to contact your children during school hours, contact the person responsible for them. Giving them a phone for direct contact only erodes the authority of the proxy parent. Somebody once said, smartphones make people stupid. Imagine a student at school with a BlackBerry. No textbooks, just Facebook. No application to study, just apps on phones. No 2x equals y over n, just BBN. No upgrades from study, just updates on statuses. Smartphones make people stupid. Now I see how that can happen. That's it for today. If you have something to say, we want to hear. Look out for the Choice TV crew for a chance to present your solution to the country. Now, if you have a burning question you want us to ask the people, we can do that too. Send us an email with your hot burning issue at solution@choice39.tv. That's SOLUCIAN at choice39.tv. Join us again next week for more Solutions.
No, because there's a problem right now. When you come to class, like you come to school, you're supposed to be clean and be positive towards the incomes and the outcome towards circumstances, because it's a subject you come to learn at school, that your cell phone, that even in case it rings, that's a subject that which the question the teacher asks you. Sometimes you forget just because of answering your cell phone. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. Your cell phone, you leave it in your bag until that you put it off, until that after school, that completely after school, that you can put it on to hear your mother results or your father results or a friend results. But it's not wise enough to have a cell phone whilst you at class learning and education. Well, what really happened, people, the man is a little complicated. Sometimes when you want to go where you want to go, you be there, to cross the roadway is the white line where you're supposed to cross. You don't use it, you use another road that causing you to cause trouble, and to drivers you can even get knocked down. And in that, when you get knocked down without the white line, there's no question to ask towards that, because it was wrong. You're supposed to use the white line. My solution, using the white line, is the best. And thank you very much, and enjoy your
Well, my solution is
They need to bring back the hand.
No, so I just came home last week Monday and so much things happening. I work on a cruise ship. So I just on vacation.
Not everyone that's in the prison that is guilty, but we have a university center criminal